We are gonna today little jump on the on the newspaper, and yes, we are gonna do jump the little on the newspapers, and I will try to describe you a problem of pathological shelters in the Eastern Europe. On the example, actually, about which you probably should heard thanks social media and thanks news, which as well send signal to the West, like TVN or Oko Express, and that's why we will just a little on the newspapers. If someone is interested in war, we are sit in the bedroom, not just because we might like which hate changing the climate, as well because someone is sleeping here, and we will see him. Now he's on the corner with his toys. He is 20 years old. His name is Henry Tudor, simply because when he came, he watched TV when there on the screen was series about Henry Tudor with great Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and that's why Henry sincerely hates to be alone. He slept with my father whole the life, and when my father died, he still took with himself after his death. Told he had a chance to be on the funeral, which not many animals had a chance to be, because priest agreed on it, and he was there, and he took all the time my favorite jacket to see by the stairs. By the time I began to took for him that jacket, as well as something which you can call a blanket, but this is actually a rag taken from the garage. He played with Eskisserai, and my father something like everyone has some comment, and they move it. And as well, that small blanket was a pillow of dog who rescued him, my dog Morgan Lafayette. Eskisserai and Morgan Lafayette were famous dogs of Eastern Europe, as well in Germany and in Scandinavia. Hunting dog pointers, recognized even in Trondheim. Once when we were, someone recognized us simply because he reminded that we had two dogs. So that's why sitting with him, until he sleep everything is fine, but when he wake up and someone is not in the room, when he is scared, he as well has CBS. What is CBS? So, people, you think that your animals are healthy, and I discovered it as well with people who studied medicine. I don't know why such idiotical unknowledge, let's say, still exists in the world of these people. Witchcraft, simply because it's impossible to call it in another way. Why? Because people still have no idea that animals can have epilepsy, as well catatonic epilepsy, which is really difficult to discover because simply someone sit like a stone, yes, and don't move, and we think that he still sit or lie on the bed, but he actually doesn't. To create two movies today because it's interesting movie, and CBS is nothing different than human Alzheimer. So how it's possible to recognize that, for example, your cat has CBS? Simply they, for example, came to the room, which they know, and they moving like a skirt, or they sitting on your knees and they in one moment moving like a skirt. Is what type of disease? Like what it's possible to recognize is simply in that moment, like human with Alzheimer, cat has no idea where he is. And it's really nothing rare, and mostly that old animals in the shelter, very old animals which we find around the world came to the shelter, if they come to the shelter, mostly are animals who simply has, let's call it like a human, dementia, because we have dementia like a human, and simply they forgot how to return to the house. You left them out because you love to left your animals out, because you think that he to the end will recognize the world, and animals didn't return. Don't see a chat today, I'm sorry. And whole movie will be published on YouTube. I wanted as well to prepare you a movie of a town in one shelter, but it would take a time, so I decided to show a town, but unfortunately I will not show a town because it was need to return it. And let's return to the subject. Since few days you can see a dog on my profile, which was created for the films many years ago. Actually, we didn't want to connect our private or official Instagrams with project, but in that case I changed my mind because I think that it's important to show it to large population. That's a problem. That's why I put that dog here as well. Most of animals you will find, of course, under the links by Byron Legacy. Laura came to the shelter in Konin from the shelter in Radysy. Radysy is a shelter which were famous. Actually, after Wojtyszki, the most famous probably more than Sompolno, although Sompolno were actually several stars and politics learning closely. But Radysy became the greatest glory of pathological shelter. When we speak about the pathological shelter in English, in Poland, not about Polish, just in Polish, because people in Poland great know what happened. Many volunteers wrote about it to many organs of government throughout the years. Even my father wrote about one shelter several years when he lived. And he could write, and it didn't happen. People simply know that here is a problem, but you as well should know why. Because everything turned here, in that cases, around the taxes. And we speak about dotation from the European Union and Norway mostly, but if someone writes it well, as well from Switzerland. And from what kind of dotation? No, they don't fall from the sky, but like animals don't fall from the sky to the shelter. They came from your taxes. So if you are not interested in the fight of animals, you're probably interested at what the taxes are spent. And taxes were spent here to those who wrote the best documents, papers for getting dotation and the good dotation. But unfortunately no one checked that on the paper if it exists in the reality. And that's the problem. We need to change the system, because you think that in the Western way to the people who think it in Eastern way, where bribe is actually everywhere, and it's possible to say like in Ottoman Empire, bribe is sacred thing. Still, that's why mentality is different. As well, situation and history of what countries created that pathology, that bribe exists everywhere as well, existed everywhere. Collusion, conspiracy, and it's so funny, but I even see a joke. It's a joke which show mentality of these people, and it's really difficult to fight with that mentality. I sincerely don't care what my neighbors think about me, because neighbors don't give me a cash for existence. But it's very painful for my mother, as well my father didn't think so a lot about neighbors, but exist here keeping appearances, like seriously in the serial yes, keeping appearances. And even as a children you can hurt, and you are actually taught by parents, but don't do it, what will neighbors will say? Fucking it, seriously. They don't give you money, they have nothing to do with you, seriously. And don't care about what neighbors will say about your life. But many people still exist in that keeping appearances, and seriously it's still used to make children scared. Okay, so let's speak about orphans. Unlucky and nice subject, especially in Eastern Europe, but not just in Eastern Europe. Popular topic, swept under the rug topic. Officially there are no orphans. Of course, in every country actually there is no orphans. I heard as well from my Baltic sister there is no not legal immigrants. How it's possible? We have a right. But you know, Lavia, if autism, so she has had like a horse riding on the steep. Yes, that her back are covered for not seeing and everything what is around, so my brain is little vanished. As well, there in that house is there is no TV, any media exists, so maybe to, and even in medieval, let's say, where illegal migrants, if you will look on the history. Today we will speak about the human and animal orphans from Eastern Europe mostly. There will be a drama and not easygoing content, but why we are going to do it so late. So if anyone needs comfort in life, they should leave now. A few days ago on my work-related profile, it was possible to see, as I told, a dog named Laura apparated coming from Radysy. That was one of the paradise on the earth. Yes, and there were, every day was a paradise, and it was a paradise like a song in the Song of Phil Collins, very popular since the time when he wrote that song. And when he wrote that song, he wanted to even the movie to that song, the clip as well was created different reaction of the people, was controversial, because he wanted to show a problem which he seen on the street, and it was that place another day in the paradise. And with the end of that song, that woman from that song died. So if you live in the European Union, subsidies, dotations are nothing different but taxes given back to the European Union. Let's call it government, but it's difficult to call it government's institution. Okay, it will be better actually for me after studying political science as well. And we will be jumping around the bit of newspaper articles as well. So, as summary, noted the information under post of a dog was that the police found 4 tons of the bodies. In the articles, you will find information ranging from 2 to 4 tons. Where did that come from? The data changed as they dug. The deeper the police dug, the more they found. Initially there were 2. So all the article will speak about 2 tons, later about 4. Well, as well 600 animals these. We have no idea where they are. A pound of body, as they say in the famous Shakespeare play. Today it's not popular to weigh a human body in a kilo, but it wasn't always like that. Today only animal bodies are weighed before burial or cremation. In fact, Second World War changed that when it came to human bodies, when the Germans started doing things on massive scale. Until then, actually, no one think that it could surprise someone. Weighing bodies before burial. If only so the coffin wouldn't, for example, fall apart, or as well as human bodies. It mainly considered the bodies of prisoners, from whom a place in the cemetery was not really provided, also due to prevailing ideologies connected with religion, yes, with that sins and any other, as for me, bullshit, but okay, you can believe that you work on sins, but mostly those who spoke about sins do many sins, and they are good speaker, also with doing some things. The courses were then sent for scientific research, because scientific were really began to be opened. Many of these specimens in the phenolene are parts of prisoners' bodies, real people. Even in some schools to this day, the teaching skeletons using for the biology lessons. Okay, Arabs have no idea what this is because they have not got part on the biology lessons, as well they have problem with knowledge about their own body, are real human bones. Seriously, quite recently in Germany, students organized a funeral for one of such skeleton. Book bindings made of human skin in the native century were something natural across the entire continent. Seriously, many books of that era are covered with human skin. No one really thought much about it. It was something normal, disgusting, but true. The Industrial Revolution had a second phase, and it was not a pleasant for anyone. A lot was said back then about the fate of animals or the people, but in the same time we created, for example, circus where we showed crippled or disabled people with genetic disease, and sometimes as well with a cancer type, but it reminded actually just in talk what helped to others. So now we're gonna to speak about the shelters. Wojtyszki did not bother to bury bodies. Radysy could be said to be more enlightened in terms of hygiene, and at least the most dangerous process, the decomposition of a body, with it's connected with massive bacteria, dangerous bacteria for anyone who exists, went underground. And seriously, if you are a fan of that undiscovered and created movies, as well in the forgotten cemeteries, and you are proud that you are going in the mausoleum when an open coffin, remember that bacteria doesn't die. Seriously, bacteria doesn't die. They are still on dead bodies and they spread in those places. So think about it twice when you wanted to create the great movie, horror movie for the social media. I agree, for sure, it will make you a followers and it will make you a view. But from the hygienic side, from the pandemic side, from the wealth side, it's simply dangerous for you because you have no idea what was the reason of the death of that human who is in the coffin. And seriously, some can kill. Like for example, grave of Timur Lenk. Probably not his body, but the coffin was protected by some bacteria. That's why his body, when they open it to make a check how he looks like, and it's even in legend about in Russia and Soviet army, they simply have a problem because of these bacteria, and many died. The same was in Tutankhamun grave, and for example Kazimir Jagiellonian as well, body is covered by bacteria, and was archaeologists who checked that body during renovation of his grave became seriously. Another example that Poland is spontaneously told in truth, it's not shocking to anyone who has touched the real human nature. It was a car accident. A mother and the driver, the mother is drunk, who crashes into a tree. Actually, and the straight road. And seriously, you will never meet that type of human which we describe. We want to put you exactly to the society, created you to great companion for the society. Because it's work like that. Society always, let's say, brainwashed by some charlatans since the ages, because they are afraid of those who thinks it are different, and that's why wanted to find an answer why something happened, because it in the serious cases can damage system. And through the ages, okay, let's return to that accident. In dangerous situation, just like with peeing, shitting and sex, the culture imposed on our minds by sociology ends. Seriously, imposed by sociology, mainstream psychology, which is based on fitting you into a society much like sociology, hammering you into a frames. But cerebellum takes over power. A primitive organism, this woman's cerebellum notices a serious threat, a dangerous threat, prison, a drunk diving accident, a wounded child. It triggered saving her own ass, and that's what she did. What seems strange in a standard peaceful situation, in the dangerous situation, is completely natural. Most people will behave like that. Seriously. When later you will speak after war, for example, mostly after wars, came to settlement, what someone did and why. And I tell you, of course, many have branched brains since the beginning, and simply they did it because they were born like that, and it isn't possible to describe it in other way. They were damaged. They, for example, had parts in the mind which are responsible for empathy, for example. But many simple rescued on us. I thought after that they rescued on us, it could end different, of course, because always that enemy who they actually back on the knees, let's say, in a different way, by selling either their own. See that this is simply betrayal, and actually should do it what Alexander the Great did with Bessus, because that person is dangerous when we found someone more responsible for their life will betray you. This also stems from the fact that man was created as the ultimate apex predator. He wouldn't have conquered the world if he had worked with mercy. He conquered it because he was egocentric and ruthless. And that's a truth which psychologists and sociologists are afraid to say, especially now. I thought in the past we see that brutally so often, and it wasn't something strange. Human nature was more seen in the past. Now we put so many laughs to calm it, and actually, but nature isn't possible to calm. By the way, it will spread somehow. That's why after we are shocking, the TV speak. No, it was just simply human nature gone out. It's nothing to speak and nothing to show. Let's explain but people better, and seriously they should know that with a different something what was created by society, by the rulers, to put people in frame, to control them. It's something different when we speak about human nature. And I repeat once again, feelings are not born with childbirth. Although recently a certain well-known actress insisted that a person cannot laugh over people's children, so a bad example, or a freak example which is outside the rule, with 50-year-old kite on my neck. It's not even real that I could have said it. This is actually Nazi theory, still wins in the rush, but a fetus is just a product of biology. And of course some women can have damaged brain bad hormones, but it's just effect product of biology. And we will approach a product differently. And feelings later come a lot. That's why many later have a depression after born and discover that children is not like they want, especially when they created a plan for 40 years. Men as males certainly have a bigger problem with this, I agree. With again stems from very nature stripped of sociological myths. Males guard territory and do not want foreign offspring on their ground. Okay, now we'll be speaking feminist and hours. Funny things. Seriously, gone at criminology, gone at studies which will tell you the truth about it and stop spreading that bullshit because it's enough. And seriously, we taught you that's what Machiavelli taught about that type of woman. They want to live their own guns. It's biology. That's how they were programmed, yes? As well, women were programmed to different things, although they were not speak what they are not. Whether you like it or not, it's a true. Some biological programs still work in your bodies. It's harder for them to accept other people, children on their territory. But there are males that don't have problem with this, of course. Even in the nature you will meet that type of creatures in the species which really strong protect own territory. Lions, bears, some wolves. Most forgotten but great example are hamster, which seriously protect own territory and even kill own children. But small animals, wild hamster, yes, but small animals is very protective on the territory. They should kill the predecessor offspring, but not always. Not always happen like that, and I will describe you now several examples. For example, my dog, spoke about him several minutes ago. Morgan Lafayette. He was used by his first owner to the dog's fight. And seriously, bringing him to the normal existence took 3 years. And it was really difficult because, for example, he as well his disease on the beginning, because he had broken pelvis, he has a broken skull, his body simply pained him. So as well, when he was stabbed in some places, he felt pain. So that bones must return to normality, they must grow together. And it as well took a time. I spoke of the beginning that he should exist just several weeks. He existed 10 years and even around. He was the greatest example of survive, probably. But as well, he was ruined because he was starved. So taking a ball, and because dogs fighting are taught by taking a boat and beating. So when we took his ball, he think that he won't eat again. So he really showed his fang. By the time it disappeared, when he discovered that meal no one take back, and by the time when our dogs could eat from his bowl, which on the beginning wasn't actually possible, they must do it in other places because simply it was a reason to attack. Every time it disappeared, he has everything in us, and what needs time. So he as well got another dog who actually showed him as well different word, and I think that as well as he had a lot of patterns of the beginning to him, but later when he, for example, began to be too nervous, she could, like good wife, remind him that he is a head and should shut up, and she is here the neck, and she is a real ruler, seriously. Later it looked like that, for example, that when dog returned from the walk, he barked at the whole village near the door that they were returned, and she said, like a lady, gentleman asked to open the door for the lady, and for itself, from fun, the lady came first, so you will not meet that now in the human world, and that's so fun, someone will tell you that we don't care, no, seriously, if you really want to be pretending from be a society from the highest level, where some things didn't disappear, seriously, and if you really want to pretending what you are from a high level, and if disappeared, so you are not from high level, and that pretending really is possible to discover. And through ages we had a name for this type of people, gilded, because it's possible to discover what you are still not from that part of the world. In the shelter in Gniezno, the first capital of Poland, for example, there is a dog, a teeny male, found with 5 puppies in the forest. It's unknown what happened to the mother of this dog. But he was with that puppies, and still he take care of them in that shelter. We now searching a home, but it's possible to read the story on the page of the shelter in Gniezno. Very often foxes, when one dies, the father takes over the upbringing. In Nigeria, there was a lioness named Kamuniak who raised small antelopes. It worked out with varying success because she brought meat to these young ones, and it was a famous case because as she came, she raised several young antelopes, she disappeared. No one later found what's happened with her. I thought TV ran after her, many scientists, to discover why it happened. Some scientists told that probably she couldn't have own kids. That's why she decided to take children, but it as well doesn't answer the question why antelopes, not for example another lioness. What connect orphans but human orphans and shelter dogs in this part of the world, contrary to appearances, quite a lot. From the very beginning, they are doomed. Contrary to the myth, they didn't fall from heaven. In the mentality of this part of the world, from time immemorial, they are defective. They deserve such a fate, and this is not a rare point of view. According to the law, orphans are of legal age from the age of 18 and must leave the orphan house. At that moment, no one is particularly interested in what happens to them. If they have a friend who has a roof, work, they might have a better life and education. If not, they must often end up in the mafia or as organ donors, but not legal organ donors. Rarely do they break through. It's a paradox because compulsory sharing supposedly exists, but in practice, many will not continue with education because they have to earn money for themselves or to exist. If not, they will exist on the safe. This is also shows that the law is not adapted to the realities of the life, and it needs to change. And it's actually not the problem just like in Eastern Europe when we speak about orphans. Education has been extended for so long, also prolonging the entry into adulthood. Okay, maybe for some it's great, they longer are the child, and maybe for some parents it's great, but compulsive parents as well film which actually should be shown what woman we should close and put the K to the river. It was awesome, Pelican, but oh my god, that's stupid. It was everything what should be closed. The woman even take a hormones for her, get a milk for her adoptive child, even killed horses to make that child better. Idiotical to the end. It's seriously, I agree, exists women who created cocoon on their child, but it's really dangerous. Yes, women are dangerous, and mostly that type of relationships and like that. And your child, when became adult, will run away from the house because that woman will not stop that protective and created on for children when they became adult. It will be to the end of their life. Mostly they run away from that houses, and sometimes that type of cocoons that of do everything for the children change as well in Münchhausen syndrome, something popular as well now to speak, maybe rare to speak in Eastern Europe, but in the US we began to show it in the several movies. When to protect own child, to be whole time near the child, to not lose the connection with the child, woman, but great mother, which because the first view you see that it's the greatest mother in the world. She will do everything for the child. She will even kill herself for that child. As well, for example, poison that child to stay near and protect him or her, or just for heals. Seriously, she poisoned for heals her child and for being useful. I got Münchhausen syndrome, and it's really difficult to discover it, but in many cases are like many cases are around the world of that. Can wolves or dog raise a children? Yeah, they can. And an example of this was Mr. Pantoja, and he still prefers his mother. Now I will tell what I remember what happened after Perestoyki, what is turning the formation of the republics, what's happened there. It was not uncommon sight in Moscow. It's not popular to talk about it, but many children exist on the streets, even very young children. And the changes just deprive people of their livelihoods. Many lost their jobs. As a result, many people abandoned their children on the street. Seriously. Especially in this republic created after Perestoyka. It maybe was not so seen in satellites, but in these republics it was something common. Many children begged on the streets and that supported entire families. We are not talking about the famous gypsy gangs, especially crippled children were thrown out. And seriously, well, it's not like that we left crippled and disabled people all the time. Actually, we not, and it's possible to see it even in the modern society when we began to speak about that and open word for them. I agree that for some disease it's dangerous to open because these people are dangerous with some disease, especially mental disease. When we speak about mental disease, they are simply dangerous for others. But for example, I don't see a problem when guy with Down find work. Why not? Why he can't be waiter, for example? Why he can't be an actor? Why he can't be working in the office? Why? These people think in a similar way. They just look different. Okay, maybe not everything they see as we. They, for example, have problem with lies, for example. But to normal work, they seriously have the knowledge what to do and can do in the normal, simple work. Okay, maybe he will not write a great program for us which will change the world, but to straight work, why we shouldn't work? But still, actually, especially in Eastern Europe, market of work is closed for them. Why? Because still exists a myth, including the appearances, that it's good to have a secretary with great breast, for the best with a blonde hair. Actually, it's a tradition that the secretary give an ass to her boss, and when she doesn't want to give, it's actually offend, and even the colleague was asked why she doesn't, because the job is connected with it. So this is a problem. But in that period of work, seriously, less people have a problem to find a job, still exist on the benefit. Seriously, still many of them exist on the benefit, although they simply could existed in the normal society. That society didn't grow up to it. I will tell you it sincerely. These changes came as well too quickly. As a result, many people lost their job, many things changed too fast. In Ukraine, to this day, there lies a woman who was raised in a dog kennel, in a dog house, and the dog did take care of her. After it was, for example, Vargo, when they found her, it was a very small dog who gave her a place to exist. And I agree that she had cerebral palsy. That's why family left her to the dog. Actually, that's story of that woman, and we'll later show you her. Her name was Oksana Alexandrieva Malaya. It was deep Ukraine. Russia incorporated many such childrenized bad dogs into the military. Today they are generals. Let's just say for their mentality, it's an ideal profession. In this ideal world created by social media, they wouldn't find themselves. The truth is that man is not more cruel, more cruel like in the past, yes? He is actually the same human as he was in the Middle Ages or the Renaissance. He imposed more and more norm upon himself during the civilizational process, also to keep the nation in check, in chains, in someone who prefer. And he is choosing to live up these norms. The changes that took place in Russia were a tragedy for many, seriously. They came too fast. It happened that, for example, when you brought flowers to the nursing homes, that government nursing homes, and those people ate them out of hunger. And many of those people were Soviet soldiers who fought during Second World War. Okay, we can discuss about ideology, but the truth is that soldiers who has 16th, 15th, they had no idea about it. They were sent from a deeper village where actually no one had idea about sociology, because life was too difficult to thinking about this, the systems and the Bolsheviks or Stalinism or socialism. They simply exist from the day to the day. And about the Russian mentality is great movie with Jeff Goldblum, which is actually underrated. But if you will find that movie, you should watching it, because it's a movie about two Americans managers who gone to Russia. It's on the fact after at second Boris Yeltsin elections, and it showed how they gone to work to create the elections to bring presidential throne again to Boris Yeltsin, but for the short time, as you know, because they have a whole problem, and several months actually ruled his daughter. In fact, but what movie shows what these people met and how they try to cooperate with mentality of East, and how difficult it was to sell them actual elections, because these people simply didn't care. There is great scene in that movie when they came to the village and they asked about the elections, about which candidate they will choose, and these people simply told, we don't care, it's just important for us that we will have a meal on the table and no one will take us to the war. That's all. And the answer is of Jeff Goldblum probably. Okay, so we have a problem. We will not sell here democracy. We must find other ideas for sell it. And what's simply mentality and needs. The primitivism of the oligarchs is also supported by where they come from. People like, for example, Klitschko, it will be less visible actually. We see distinguished, great man of success. Yes, but let's not forget that their father was a diplomat and major general. They had access to better education, opportunities for development. They were not nobodies. The majority, however, are elegantly dressed, terrible primitives. This also explains the pervasive corruption in these countries, regardless of whatever job they or not. Actually, the best I still will say that the best is example what didn't change in that system is still Czech. But Czech, remember that throughout ages was part of the Holy Roman Empire, and it was impossible to change their mentality so fast. We had as well that nobility from that period, so it was difficult to change these people as much as it happened in other countries. It also explains why Russia is not keen on the West. Many of the further republics are not. We're like people who remember the changes. Colorful shops can claim to them, okay, but they certainly had a problem surviving during the changes, and they have not the cash for that cars, and they had not have cash to came to that color of shops. Suicides were also the norm. These people were pushed into yachts, also by legal yacht sharks called banks. It's legalist, usually, really, in fact, for development business, for example. Many took credits because they believe that it will help, and many as well didn't read that small letters. No, as well, and too many not read that small letters. But these business didn't go well. Competition squeezed them out, and they were left with the ions. Let me give an example how much care is given to a children from the orphanages in a small town. 2 technical schools. In one, pedophilia is on a such scale that a father eventually produced a child with his own daughter. Abortion is forbidden there. We're talking about a little country that is currently in the United European. What's happened to the school rules principals? He still works. Everyone knows that this man was mentally disabled. That mentally disabled, I speak of course about that man who produced that child. But he had some not acceptable speech or touch to students. The teachers covered it up perfectly. Really, it's not always a place who is a pedophile. It's a myth. Pedophilia has no profession. The second school, proud of its achievements, its reputation, chose still Hulk on the blackboard and dirty sponge and classrooms like the 20th century, the beginning of the 20th century. Many years rented out for a business, but thanks to good connections with local authorities, the school got another building because it doesn't fit, it's too small. It will fit, it wouldn't be so small if we will remove this business from its building. In the second building there is fungus on the wall. But okay, well, we have good connections, nothing happened. But children has allergy, no one cares. Of course, but the money from the business goes to the pockets of controllers, the principal, his most faithful secretary, and as well mistress. A pedophile teacher. As well, you will not find that history when you will search is removed. And that's where show how it works. Swept under the rug. There aren't even records of it. The practice went on for years. The principal pretended he knew nothing. Behind the scenes, he votes, but complaints did reach him. He didn't take them seriously. Alas, it was spoke just by the child. He got his pension because he gone to pension. Posthumously, he will probably get medals too because he is so beloved. Competition with principals in these institutions are a joke. They are a lifetime office. Simply because other teachers are afraid to stick their necks out, there are too many of them relative to the afraid that population became lower, so they will lose jobs and will not find another. 2. It's later simply lazy environment. And what if the timetable is changed out of a revenge and they want to work from that hour to that hour? Now we have a psychologist from the hospital who slept with 15 years old girl. Yeah? And like what looks like a treatment of it. So this exist of orphans. Pedophilia is something actually not so rare in the institution like orphan houses. An example, one was closed. Not so rare is as well stealing things which people give to this child, for example, like Christmas as a gift, or sending money by the donor. The same is with animal shelters. And now we return to the animals. Okay, so let's speak. I probably will tell you if someone will watch it here or not, and so we will end it. So I'm going to change as well, translate you a page on English. Yeah, it looks like that, and nothing happened here on Lechar, which came as well from the taxes of everyone who existed in European Union. It looks like that. It was called as well a factory. Defcams. It had many names. And it was so corrupted, so closed. It was connection with governments as well. And it couldn't seriously disappear from the world. I thought newspapers wrote about it seriously 10 years. And of course, it's as well love protected those people because it's according love in that part of the world if something happened to animals. No harmfulness cases. That's why as well it's seriously, there is nothing like that, like court which is objective because any judge has own opinion. Many, when they don't like animals, they as well show it. You see, actually in Eastern Europe, people, maybe it's as well because of that they closed the system which was by washing brain. It's now changed and it's begun that new politicians who came, new people began to speak, but it's really difficult to damage something which is really good building, and when part of society is on the high level and have the strong power as a judge, but many began to speak, especially with new young politicians, that is need to change it. We need to change the mentality of these people. We need as well to change the system, but it will be difficult to change the system also because the mentality. Simply because they think that they are rulers, they even speak about that they are different caste and others should have nothing to them. But it's any check for them by the society, so they can do everything. And as well mentality help that created by the socialists, that we don't fight with the system. The system is created, we do ourselves, and we try to survive and not going to work. It's actually the truth about whole countries, but post-Soviet republics created on Perestoyki and as well was satellites. Seriously, I see it as well in the mentality of my mother. Dominic as well in their parents. You won't change it. It's a system. And these people accept it, and that's why nothing changed in that countries, and even in change it came so slowly. Because many simply accepted that it must be like that, and they don't see even a need to change it. I thought if they were gone on the street, if they were protest, they will change. But mentality help. Yes, as we can read, it was began to the process so close, but later he again got permission to open it, but it was the largest European shelter for stray animals, actually, and it wasn't a shelter. It was a place where no one wanted to be, actually. Another great place in the world, another paradise, which we have here, and it was described by Okoak Press, popular. It's probably, if I could remember, I will check so often. Weekly newspaper. Radysy. Radysy actually was the most awful place because, as I told, Wojtyszki at last didn't bury it, but it's because for what? They bury it. And police found, as you can read, 4 tons of dead bodies and 600. We have no idea where they are. That is information which you can read you see. And that's why I decided as well publish that doc on what page, my business page, about Laura, dog who is from that shelter, to show the problem for what going rotation. Of course, it's not the true that every shelter dogs were like that. Not, because I did photos around the world. Okay, better than in the shelter. But when Dominic and I spoke about what they should do something about in that cases after Byron death, and we decided to begin that project, then we wanted as well to show a pathology. Greatest war with that pathology actually began when artists from Poland, Dorota Rawczewska, came to one of the shelter and began to send a dog's house. And she began to speak loud. What about volunteers, people who work in the shelters, spoke, wrote to many institutions, and didn't find answer and help. It was a very large place, as we can read. It was the greatest business. Laura, as it's wrote on my post, is unfortunately animals can be, because they are still, I think, according law, and that is why created a problem, and as well give away to animal abuse. Seriously, it gives the right to animal abuse as well. If you want to change its mentality, but it's not a thing, but word owner won't disappear from the languages, abuse won't disappear. Seriously, because according law, when it's actually open gate to many things. Evidence in the case, that's why isn't possible to adopt her, but it's possible to take her on the foster home. But seriously, I have no idea if she will find a foster home, because that dog is really scared. It's not seen because I cut, but you should watch a road, because I left a camera and need help her. Actually, everything on learning was work, but it's after the knowledge and permission of the shelter worker was done by the cake. She is seriously worried, and as you saw, there was a trench ditch to the forest, a little cliff where she went when she began to search something, and one of her paw spun into the lash, and it became a problem because she didn't want to help. She even wanted to eat the lash, but each moment was worse, and actually she turned it in a ham. And now we got to a problem how to return to the moment when dog was on the leash and not leash on the dog, and not everything looks like ham covered with rope like this, so that all traditional ham covered with a rope. So it was by the time, on the beginning, she didn't want it. She discovered she will not find any herb, and she is that ham. Every 3 months was a cake, and we take a part cake, and we take a part of a line. Take a cake, and we take a part of a line. But it took a time. It actually took several minutes to return to the normality, and ham as well felt from that cliff, which wasn't great. But so yeah, it was as well something very pathological, and the process began. So because everything here worked, it doesn't matter if that countries came to European Union or not, in the way of Byzantine system. Bureaucracy is typical Byzantine thing, too much to grow, so for sure the trial will go on years, and these animals won't find their homes. As well in the shelters, no one work with them, simply because there as well is not enough people to work with each dogs to bring them comfort, to bring them to the society of dogs, let's say. So that's why as well we think about what dog will stay in the shelter, unfortunately. Kitten, puppy, because puppies and the oldest dogs have not chance to find them. With a dog cops, yes, why not? And it has made a bad name. It's Radysy, on after S is Y. And it's actually was created by TVN. Probably that painting will not be translated for you, but I will try to describe it. About the greatest population of animals, which is so popular to be promoted in the social media. Let's firstly ask how that population in Eastern Europe looks like, because mostly it's on chain. And they showed here a diagram graph to describe how that population looks like. And we described whole, beating in the shelters were no, of course, by good iron, like in medieval. Hunger, starvation is no stable level. If it was that shelter which was closed by that artist which about who I had been spoke, Ms. Rabczewska, as well as several politicians. And there came to many as well idiotical things, because people took that animals. After 1 day they bring them back to another shelters, because they think that animals from something like that will be set on the couch. No, so for something like that is really need to work with animals, and it will be not a puppet sitting on the couch, especially after something like that. Of course, it's something like that could exist. It must be a conspiracy, a plot with local governments, police, but as well veterinary inspectorate, and mostly I will blame veterinary inspectorate, because I know these people, I know how they work. Actually, they don't work. It's one of the greatest, warmest positions to work. They do actually nothing, and they take or not take, but mostly they don't. And we have here what painting. It didn't change it. So there is a number of but below greatest population from the Poland. Yes, the whole population. We have here numbers of all dogs, which we know, because many has no any identification, so even government know that the statistic is one big flag it's understated, and we have a population of cats. As I told in many episodes, with a population of cats, it's understated more than dogs. Why? Because for the dogs is meat. Mostly people in village, not so often. Yeah, still some run away from it, but is need to each year to vaccination for rabies. That's why we now have a little knowledge about that population, because it's according to need. You can't have a dog with that. And then, of course, until police won't check, people have animals without it. But okay, let's say that many are more responsible, and because it does create a problem when, for example, dog run away, when dog bites someone, it's began the process and police asking why it has a vaccination. There is a large fine mandate, so people prefer to vaccinate the rabies. Prefer, mostly pathology, not vaccinated rabies, but let's say they prefer. But with cats, that love not exists, because as well rabies, let's say, work different in the organism of cat. Mostly they are carriers, so they can have rabies, but they have no symptoms. And now we have a number of animals in the shelters. So that's what we have recognized. Yes, but officially have an owner. Have an owner, but it is difficult. It's another object, how that owner cooperated and exists with what animals. Because officially they have no. For example, they can be tied and take a field for what? For nothing, but he wanted to protect the field by the dog, as he would have a treasure there. Unfortunately, it's not a Belgium. Today we heard that they found the gold. We heard that we won't find the gold on that type of field. Seriously, I don't find. I'm sure that we won't find gold on that type of field. It's not part of the world. Moving the forest, and well, the existence of other animals can be different. Of course, some will have a culture, we will have everyone will sleep. Well, that guy from the beginning who I showed with everything, and even humans sit near him because he afraid of sleep alone. But and he is still a unique person whom my father recognized when he has a cancer. He didn't recognize us, but he recognized Henry. So that's why Henry is so important. He is, especially with someone with cancer of mind, could recognize just him. And others only exist on train. Only exist on feeding once a week. For example, today I read information in the news that people fight for taking a dog who is feeding once a week and protect actually ruins. And it's something really popular, seriously, in that part of the world. And if someone have actually nothing, there is a more protective, like SARS. And we have Pathological. And dogs are need to protect. No one knows what. This is a number of animals in the shelter. Dogs and about horses, no one speaks, but as well some shelters take a horse. And this is the numbers of which probably we know that existed on the street. In that good, clean Poland, which is recommended, and good safety places. Okay, in Warsaw I took these animals very fast, I agree, but it's Warsaw, don't forget it, that its capital and capital around the world has overruled. Capital is advert of the countries, and government of capital always will want to show the best face, because they come tourists, they come diplomats welcome business people to make a deal. It's different word. It's in some way propaganda, but it's another word in every system. Like that was always in the capital exist was different than in the, for example, 10 kilometers behind. Behind, seriously, shelters will do everything to not to take animal from the city. Reasons are many. For example, some take a cash and will prefer to spend it on other things. For example, at coffee in the office. How could exist in that part of the world secretary without coffee and the cakes? Seriously, it is impossible. Like without the sex on the desk, with a chef. Many municipalities seriously did nothing but take donations in the case of homeless animal. And oversight of that coin, because it's always oversight of that coin, is that these shelters who exist simply full. They have no place for new animals. And as well, mentality didn't help, doesn't help, and won't help if you won't speak about it loud, because still is one thing which connected was animals and as well orphan children, but they bad. If they ended in that place, it means that they should stay there. They are healthy, and this is the best place for them. So we have another numbers here, numbers of cats. You see how many cats is to the dogs. No one take care about cats. And here we have both in the shelter. We have both, according to some statistics, some exist on the 75,000. It's a really large number, and many of these animals won't find a home forever. We have cats in the shelters. As you see, there is lower number of a cat in the shelters. Also, because cat is like a cat, yes, he can go on. It's difficult to catch that cat, and if, as I told several times, cat came to the shelter is a really in terrible condition. As when me and went with amputation, they mostly as well survived several months and died. So it's as well that's why that number is looks like that. And we have both who live on the streets, and they have somehow survived or not. If we will be in the spring, then you will discover that road is actually covered by small kitten who didn't cross road. And of course you must go through the Warsaw. For example, by the road to Płock, beautiful second capital historical of Poland. Krakow was third, not second, as we thought. And it's not just the Krakow in Poland. Then, for example, Gniezno is capital of Poland. As well, beautiful Czersk with Mazowian castles near Warsaw. Any other places, and you will see it. Very beautiful paradise. Yes, so now we are going to show boss feral children. Seriously, boss who looks on survive Perestoyka. So this excellent when was made a problem about her. She exists, as I know, even I think that nothing changed in that case. In the mental health, she got a room and she existed with a dog. And dog probably not existed longer, and learned that somehow existence as normal human, but it really gone very slowly. She has as well problem with walk because she gone to that dog house as a child, a very small child. She was probably 3 or 4 years old, so she mostly walk like a dog. So that was one of the most famous cases that's from Ukraine, because she was born in 83, so that looks that person. I said that by teeny dog. And we have here as well famous man who had own film. I don't know if Guardian won't be happy, but we show his material. With this Marcos Pantoja, he survived 12 years, not ages of course, 12 years with wolves, and now he works as it's called a guard of wolves in a national park in West Spain, which is his work. He probably now on pension, but that was his work throughout the life actually, and his greatest dream is to return to his mother. So somewhere that he happened the wars, and now we began to did that science check lichens. We didn't so much look on them, but they had is more connected than wolves actually. So exists really possibility that these animals created that connections, which is possible that their mentality would accept something like that, like rising. They understand that someone is in need and they can help in a rising that person, even predators, even if it's a human. Of course, it can end different for the wolves. Wolves sometimes risk when that person will change in the hunter, for example. He was that man with his mother, that wolf, that Wolverine who raised him. Actually, so it's possible to read about him on the corner as well. He will write his surname, was even a movie about him. It's discussed about how that movie was done, but was movie about that person. Okay, so I'll show you the greatest paradises in that place of the world and describe why it's important to speak about it. And when you see a promotion on that population, to tell these people shut up and, for example, show them any dog on the chain, because it's important to change the mind people on the West, but where that population looks really different than in the Scandinavia or Germany. Shutters has no air conditioner in the boxes. Now is tomorrow will be again 56 degrees, so my dogs and cats will be sit under very own air conditioner, but in some shelters will be, for example, 60 degrees, especially in those old which were full of metals. Yes, actually it would be better to expert animals out than they give them left in that enclosure. And in one, I don't want to give now the name of that shelter, but several weeks ago during the heat warming day, one dog didn't survive. But it was one of old type, and it was as well long-haired dog, and didn't survive. And for the end, I will show you dog as always. Children for house behave voluntarily as well. Greatest problem of these places were orphan houses and dog shelters. Mostly people will not visit because they are afraid to see it. And as well social media as well to make that life more easygoing and no drama, as well as we can see that we covered information about this. So actually any reason to publish information about pets in the social media when it's overwhelmed with bone going out, open broke, because it will be covered, it will not come to the people. And I wanted to show a movie, but that movie time would take more time, so I will not show that movie. I will add that movie from the town where I visit on the shelter. And of course, a movie will be on the tube. I will show you one dog and one monument from that town. So we'll return again to the, I need to write at the end to that company. Okay, so we have here a dog from Sompolno. Is on the Byron and Radysy, actually many dogs are from the Sompolno because it's a shelter full of old dogs. And the problem is that this is Lechar, beautiful Slavic name. I can say that that dog has amazing full coat. Seriously, he has a full coat that full of colors. It's amazing full coats. Full of colors. It's something rare to meet. In some case, probably that dog is somehow there is a lot of husky or animal. But that dog has seriously problem with legs under the top. But photos was done in May, so not so far away. And I was very last week, and he seriously have a problem with mark that going worse, and he needs orthopedic lash, so that's why I show him, which I wanted to show you a cat with legs, but I show him. He is 10 years old, and he is since winter in the shelter. And so, or he ran away when someone celebrate New Year, yes, with fireworks, and dogs ran away, and because there was frozen rivers, because it was very cold in that winter, 20 degrees, and the Xeroso river covered by ice. Maybe he couldn't return to that house. It's as well people myth that every dog will return to a house. They will not return, for example, when fall snow or the rain, because simple, the signs by which dog move, by sniff as well, disappear then. The road is cut. It's worth to remember about it as well when you split that myth that dogs always return to the house. And it is possible to find that great myths as well from that great behaviorist which should be shut in the cage. And when we have rainy weather, when we have snowy weather, the sign will disappear and the dog will not return. As well, when we have tows, for example, yes, when the ice change into the white and the dog cross the lake, the river, that road to return is not possible. So his problem with legs is worse, and in orthopedic lash, and as well now two people work with him, one take a lash, one take a bag. So we can say that that dog will maybe, if we will accept that orthopedic lash, and in fact the truth is he will die in the shelter. Oh, and it's dog from the Sompolno, there is a Danon from the Sompolno as well, and here is, this is as well Lechar, different photo. So I thought the oldest dog in that shelter is 16 years old, is in better condition than he. Might as well exist possibility that someone left him because he was old, and we need someone discovered, but he will need medical treatment, because of course it's possible to treat that dog and exist with that type of dog. I exist with a dog who has problem with like 6 months, and that problem was because of cancer, not because of changing in the it was something what is called meat cancer, so grow up meat and grow up bones in a strange condition, and actually she changed in someone like Joseph Mary, but it wasn't problem with joints, what dog has a problem with joints. And she's orthopedic lash on the beginning. Yeah, it's work great. It's just you once need to stand up. In house, we gave her around carpets because we are typical Tatars, so we have no wood on the floors, but mostly tiles, floor of tiles to as well have a cleaner houses, and as well under the tiles is as well heating. So we gave that her carpets so she could move better. As well, we buy her stairs to the cars. By the time she didn't drove in the back, but in the inside the car, but as well need stairs to sitting on the coach. And she existed like that for several months. So, but it is interview. But of course, if we speak about adoption, actually, in that cases, chance are fine. I thought it's really beautiful dog, really that colors of the coat, and it's really nice dog. It's strange that no one searched him because it's really interesting dog. Sompolno. I will show you this town because, as I promised, I will try to promote some of the towns, although there is not much to promote here. Unfortunately, there aren't many historical monuments there. There are mostly found in the nearby towns of Kolin, Ko, Lubstów, and Kruszwica. Where these archaic class monuments, it's a relative question. The ones in Kruszwica are definitely worth mentioning, as it's from the Romanesque period and there aren't many such monuments in the world, so they certainly are. A small forgotten town, mostly lakes, if you like lakes. There are plenty of them to choose from here, and you can enjoy them. Some are former mines thought advertised but have water complaint poison, so it's worth keeping that in mind. A white building catches the eye. It's a library, formerly a synagogue. However, it wasn't an ornate as the one in the Kolin, now closed. Also the town hall with tower. On the road we pass the old forest and reach the lake. Above it stands the palace in Lubstów. The last Countess Niemojewski received here Józef Piłsudski and Wojciech Śmigły, among others. She was supposedly having an affair with a later. That's gossip. Some say that they had a child, that's also gossip. It's fact that the Niemojewski went to Warsaw, where she died of starvation during the upspring. Apparently she went after her lover, that's also hard to pin down. The man who married my great-grandmother on my mother's side, he was called great-grandfather, but he wasn't a real great-grandfather because he had already married a widow with children. He was the son of a mayor of a palace, a steward there, and was looking for this woman with his brother after the war. That's how they discovered. He never mentioned anything about children, and he would have known that because these people lived in the palace and that countess was closely with her worker. Mr. Alfred was a cook who trained at France, and his son also trained under the illustrious masters of the time in the art of castle management as a mayor of the palace. The photo was taken by his father, Mr. Alfred. This is an old photo of a Countess Józef Piłsudski and Wojciech Śmigły, and that's how it ended in the collection. The original is very small. Officially, people came here to hunt, and not only during the Niemojewski period, but even before. And not just these gentlemen, many famous people from earlier times also came here to hunt. The forest is old and truly rich. There are mouse elk here, now wolves are returning, some have seen lynx, but that might be due to intoxication My cat was also called Lynx, although he wasn't one at all. He's just big. Doctors determined darling test, but he has a wild card in his bloodline. He's still not a lynx. He is similar in height to Malcolm. Badgers are here also. A palace is currently for sale. For your attention, 7,500,000. When I created that movie, it was 7,900,000. Divided that dollars by 4. It's had bad luck since the war. First it was an orphanage, a mental hospital, then a school. There were other functions along the way. It fell into disrepair in this way, like most residences during the socialist era. Eventually it was bought by a company owner from Galicia, Kalisz. His name was never elevated and it remained a private person, although people by the time discovered the name of the company. And he elevated it. Many people were very happy. It was restored to its former glory. It was done with great detail. The company published videos of the renovations, and there is a lot of seriously old oak, ebony, mahogany. And also they showed what they found, various old things, monuments found in the palace during renovation. It was supposed to be a part of the company business meetings, well, unfortunately something probably didn't work out because it's back on the market. Can only hope it doesn't end up again as a school or some kind of a hospital, simply because the more people act out any building, the more people use any building, the more they inevitably do. It's falling into disrepair. That's why it would be better if it actually stayed in someone's hand or became some kind of museum, exhibition hall. If it's going to be used less frequent, seriously, it will be better for that place. A place has access to the beach. Let's call it the beach, but seriously, the Lechar has a sand. It will be probably need to some tidying up. It's connected to the lake. There aren't many people in Poland with that kind of money to be casted like Johnny Depp, but some would actually have a beautiful house if they died one day, and as I mentioned it. So this is actually unique, beautiful monument, interesting place here as well. Interesting is old church with a lot of baroque statue near the palace. As village maybe is not so beautiful because it's poor, but that two monuments are seriously interesting here.